upper body strength today, guys. They're gonna just keep going strong for the month of January. So we're gonna do some core work again, trying to bring in some core all month. But with the upper body stuff, it can be a little challenging, of course. Well, some of us, that's our least favorite thing to do is upper body work. So just a couple things. When you're weight bearing, we talked about this before, just try to like do this claw thing with your finger pads. It helps activate the center of your palm. It strengthens your wrists. So that's really good for your weight bearing stuff. If you can't do straight arms, you can always drop down on your forearms for some of the stuff that we're doing for a little break. Some of you I know also do fists if your wrists bother you. And then you know the trick where you roll your mat over and cushion the heel of your hand. So that's another thing you can do for support on your hands. We won't be, doing planks the whole time, although I'm calling this class the Plank Master, because we're just working on the actions that are necessary to help us, hold a good plank. But we're in gentle yoga, so I can't push you guys too hard in this class. And I can only torture you for 1 hour, so you can do it. You can get through this. But we'll do some other things in addition, like warming up the shoulders. We'll do some somatic work on our back to warm up the shoulders. And then we'll progress into the practice from there. All right, so you are going to need your set of blocks for your practice. Maybe a pillow for under your head or to sit on when we do seated work. So a folded blanket would be helpful as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody and we will get started. You guys can come down onto your backs, please. All right, everybody's muted. So let's just take a couple of moments and settle in on your back. Take some nice, slow, deep breaths. And I'm going to have you grab a block. And we're going to use a block here for our breathing practice. So if it's comfortable, you could have your legs out straight. If not, just put your feet flat. We're going to take the block into our lower belly region. So below your navel, kind of right in between your two hip bones, your two pelvic bones. And we're going to put our hands on top of the block. And what's this doing? Oh, hold on, guys. I want to plug the mic in. I forgot to do that. Just make sure. I'm going to make sure you guys can still hear me once I do that. Just somebody put your hand up. Make sure you can still hear me. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. I was charging my iPad, so I forgot to unplug it and put the mic in. Okay, so block is in the low belly region. Put your hands on top of the block. And this is going to help train us to breathe into the lower belly. The block is going to be a bit of resistance. So with your hands on the block, you can feel that bit of pressure in your low belly. Hopefully you don't have to hit the restroom. Now I'm going to ask you to breathe where the block is. So inhale, feel the block lift a bit. And then exhale, let the block drop. And then I want you to continue that for a few more cycles. So when we're doing plank pose, if we're in a full-on plank, a lot of us have weakness here in this lower belly region. So we're going to work on that today. And we have a big dip in our lower back. And when we do that, our hips sag toward the ground, and it makes it much harder to maintain our plank position. Let's take 3 more breaths. So we're bringing an awareness to this lower belly region. Feeling that resistance of the block to help us control the breath. after this next one, go ahead and release. Just set your block to the side. We are going to use the blocks again. Bend your knees, set your feet flat. And feel free to have something under your head here if you feel more comfortable. Let's take the arms straight up toward the ceiling. And we're going to do the somatic movement called pulley. So we're going to take the right arm and try to touch the ceiling. So reach, reach, reach. Feel that even through your core. And then release that arm back down. Let the left arm come up. And I want you to focus on feeling your shoulder blade pull away from your spine. That's called shoulder protraction. That's an important action for what we're doing today as well. So feel the shoulder blade pulling away from the spine, but then also notice how your core works to help you reach from right to left. Okay, keep the arms both up there. And now we're going to do at the same time. Reach both arms up, pull your shoulder blades away from your spine, feel your core muscles engage, and then release them down. Keep that going. Reach both arms up, shoulder protraction, let your core engage, press your back body into the ground. And then shoulders release down. Couple more rounds. As you reach up, try to press, especially your lower back. And we're activating those core muscles. 2 more cycles. Good, and let's release. Let those arms come down for a moment. Take a breath. Now let's take them back up and we're going to hold on to opposite elbows. And we're going to do the somatic movement called Typewriter, continuing to warm up the shoulder blades. We're going to drop the knees to the right, take your elbows to the left, and let your head go with your knees. So the head is going to the right, elbows to the left, and then switch. Knees, head to the left, elbows to the right. Now go side to side, moving slowly. Give a gentle pull with your arms, pulling that shoulder blade away from the spine, and then continue. And you might also notice this through your hips, through your core as well. As you come back through center, switch your arms so the opposite arm is on the top and keep going. One more time on each side. And then release your arms, come back to the center, take a breath. Okay, from here, arms straight up again. And we're gonna circle the wrists around a bit. So we'll warm up the wrists. Again, another area that's gonna, be a little bit stressed by having to hold a plank pose. Circle in the opposite direction. We will do some wrist releases at the end as well. Good, and now flex your palms so that you're pressing as if you're pressing against the ceiling with your palms. And then do the opposite, turn your fingers down. So stretch the top of your wrists and then flex. So do that a few more cycles. Try to keep the arms nice and straight as you flex and kind of point your fingers down. Good, and then release, let those arms come down. Bring your knees right over your hips. You're gonna lift your feet up, and I want you to press your back body into the ground just like we did earlier. Really press your back ribs down, that's the most important part. We're gonna start to tap one foot to the ground. And we're gonna move super slow motion. So we're really using control and not momentum. Important safety here is to not let your back arch a lot away from the ground. We want those back ribs to stay grounded, so we're using our lower abdominal muscles. If this is easy, straighten the leg and then bring the leg back in. If that's too much, stick with the knees bent. As best you can, control the wobbling. So we're trying not to let the body wobble from side to side. Keep pressing your back ribs into the ground. One more time on each leg. Good, and then release. Let those feet come down. Take a breath in your belly. All right, grab your block again. If you have a pillow, you might want to take it out if you're comfortable. If you need it, you could keep it. And then we're going to take the block straight up overhead with your palms on the side of the block, and you're going to press your hands into the side of the block. Okay, we're going to do that lift again, but now we have the block. Try to touch your block to the ceiling, press your back into the ground, and then release the shoulder blades back down and start to take the block overhead. Keep pressing into the sides of the block and don't let your back overarch. So you only come as far as you can. Back ribs stay planted, and then slowly bring that block back up. Good. Try to touch it to the ceiling. Press your back into the ground. Activate your lower core. And then shoulder blades back down. Take the block overhead. Going slow, pressing into the sides of the block. Try not to flare your rib cage away from the ground. And let's do that one more time. Block comes up. Lift the block to try to touch the ceiling. Press your back into the ground. And then shoulder blades down. Slowly take that block overhead. Good, and then bring that block back up and release it. I don't know about where you guys are, but the wind is kicking up something fierce here. I sure hope we don't lose our connection. Let's take a full body stretch from here. And do the up, slip, down, slip. Reach through right arm, right leg, left arm, left leg. So let's lengthen out the psoas and the hip flexors after all that core work. So when the psoas is on the shorter side, the tighter side, that can influence our pelvic tilt and that excessive curvature in the lower back, making it hard to hold our plank pose. So one more time on each side. And then we're going to release and hug the knees into the chest. Rock a little bit side to side. And then we're going to start to roll like a ball. So kind of lift up and roll. Lift up and roll. You might not be able to get it, but that's okay. Just do the best you can. This is good for our spine and our core. And if you can, you're going to roll up to sit. And if you can't, you're going to roll to your side and join us there. Okay, come on up to sit, and let's grab something to sit on. And have that block nearby. Widen out your sit bones. Sit up tall. And then let's grab that block again. And we're going to take the block and reach it overhead. Press your hands into the block. Try not to flare your rib cage. Let's actually do it intentionally. Pop your rib cage forward and feel how that tightens up your back muscles. And now try to bring your rib cage right over your pelvis, and that'll decrease that tension in your back. So keep that. Lift your block up high. Press your sit bones down. Hold it for another breath. And then from here, take the block. We're going to put it behind the back of the head. Bend the elbows and connect the block to your head and squeeze your elbows in. So working on those triceps, and lift the triceps up so that you're lengthening the back of the arm. Reach the elbows toward the ceiling, squeeze in, hold one more breath, and try not to flare your ribs. Good. Inhale, reach the block back up. Exhale, lower the block in front of your chest. Press your hands into the side of the block. Excuse me, got a tickle in my throat. Now, same thing we did on our back. Pull the block towards you and try to get your shoulder blades to draw back. And then send the block forward. Your shoulder blades separate. And do that a few times. Let's see if we can keep the arms straight, though. Okay, so just with the arms straight, it's a very small movement. Strengthening the area around your shoulders. One more time. Good, and then release. Good, shake it out a little bit. And we're going to extend the legs out in front of us, coming into staff pose. In your staff pose, root your thigh bones down, flex your feet, spread your toes, sit up tall. Good, sit bones root down, crown of the head reaches up, grab your block again. Take the block, reach it overhead. As your sit bones root down, try to reach a little higher, reach that block up. Now we're gonna lower the block and put it on top of our head. Good. Now you can keep your hands there or see if you can let it go. And find that really nice tall spine, as if you're gonna press your block up. If it falls, don't worry. You can always keep your hands on it if you need to. Press your thighs down. One more breath. Good, release the arms back up. Take the block off and release. Okay, let's find our way to tabletop position now. And we'll go through our cat-cows. So find your way to hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And as you're ready, go ahead and begin your cat-cows. Exhale when you round, the shoulder blades are drawing apart in that protraction. And as you inhale, you're letting your upper spine move in and your chest and head lift. Exhale and round. Good. Let's keep that going for about 3 more cycles. After your 3rd cycle, you can move back to a brief child's pose. Take a few breath cycles there. Let the arms rest. All right, coming back up into your tabletop pose. Remember those tips for your wrists. You can claw with your finger pads. You can roll your mat up for cushion. Other options are using your fists, things like that, okay? So find your tabletop. Press through your palms, tone the lower abdomen. So we're lifting that lower belly. And then we're gonna take the right leg straight back. hug the midline as if you have a block between your inner thighs. And then slowly lift that leg up to about hip height and pause. Now, notice if you dip into your lower back. I want you to keep the hip points. So these 2 points in the front of your pelvis lifting up towards your rib cage so that we have support for the lower back. So lift those hip points till you feel that belly tone and then release that foot down. Other side, take the left leg back, lift it up to about hip height, and then getting that dip out of the lower back, lift the hip points and feel that length and support. Pushing through your palms, there's a bit of shoulder protraction. And then release. All right, I always like to get a little moment off the wrist. So let's stand up on our knees. Inhale, reach your arms up. And imagine your block between your hands, lift it up toward the sky. Lift your hip points, send your tailbone down. So we have a lot of neutrality in the pelvis here. Rib cage is not flaring, so we're keeping that rib cage right over the pelvis. Good, release, arms down. Okay, let's add on the opposite arm. Take the right leg back, lift it up, lift those hip points, and then take your left arm and reach it forward. Supporting hand, push it into the ground and turn it externally isometrically. So you're rolling it toward the pinky finger. It's that little squeegee action I talk about, and that helps firm the arm on the outer arm. Good, release. So creates a bit of a boundary, helping that strengthen that outer arm. Okay, other side, left leg back. Lift the leg, then lift your hip points, tone your belly, opposite arm forward. Supporting hand, push it down, and then isometrically turn it open toward the pinky. Feel that strength in the arm. And release. Good, take it back, child's pose again. We're gonna do 2 more rounds here on our hands and knees. So just make sure you listen to your body. If you need a break at any time, feel free to take it. Okay, back up into your tabletop position. Press down into both palms. Spiral them externally into the ground so you feel the outer arms tone. And then try to pull your hands apart isometrically. Hold there, tone the belly. And we're going to take the right hand, tap the left shoulder, and release. Left hand taps the right shoulder, and release. Go side to side a few times, going slow. Try not to wobble too much. Maintain control. One more time on each side. Now, for an extra challenge, we would be doing this with our knees up. That's what we're going to do on Sunday in the level 1, 2. One more time each side here. Okay. From here, let's come up to down dog. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up, and just pedal it out a moment. Bend one knee, then the other. We're going to take our feet wide apart, bend the knees a lot, and walk your hands back towards your feet and fold forward over your legs. Inhale, halfway, hands on thighs. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, we're going to come all the way up, reach those arms overhead. And exhale, release, arms down at your side. Good. Okay, let's find our mountain pose. So mountain pose is almost like plank, right? So if I put my arms forward and I put myself down on the ground, I would be in a plank. So if we get a good mountain pose, that'll be a good preparation for doing our plank. So we're going to look through the various platforms of the body here. So press your feet down into the ground, your legs engage. We want to make sure our thighs root back. So there's some weight through the heels, but also spread out through your toes. And let's lift the toes off the ground till you feel your arches lift and your leg muscles start to engage. See if you can keep some of that, let your toes come down. Okay, so keep your thighs back. Now lift the front of your pelvis and lengthen the back of your pelvis. So I'm just using my hands for demonstration purposes. You don't have to use your hands, but sometimes it's helpful. So these two pelvic bones here often dip forward. And when they dip forward, we stick our butts out. So I want you to not stick your butt out in your plank. I want you to lift those hip points, lift your lower belly, and keep your tailbone pulling down. Next platform, the rib cage. Again, we don't want it to pop forward. Keep it right over your pelvis. And now let's see if we can take the arms up while we keep all of that. So take the arms, reach them overhead. Try not to flare your ribs. Root your feet down, engage your legs, lift your hip points, pull your tailbone down. And now try to touch the ceiling with your arms, get long. And then we're going to bring the palms down in front of us for a standing plank. Good. Push the air in front of you forward till you feel your arms strengthen. And now isometrically try to pull down. And for me, when I pull down, I feel this outer arm area tone. Keep the pulling down action. Now try to pull the arms apart. Don't let them move. Feel all that strength in your arms. You're still lifting your hip points, pulling your tailbone down. Good, release. Shake it all out. Okay, couple half sun salutations. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, hands to your heart. 2 more rounds. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift your spine halfway up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Try to remember all those lower body cues as we do this. One more time. Inhale. Try not to flare the ribs. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Halfway up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Good. Separate your feet a little bit, just a little bit more standing here. Inhale the arms up, hold your right wrist, lengthen up tall, and then let's take a side bend. I just want to give you guys a little break off of the weight bearing stuff because we are doing more of it. Inhale, come up, other side, lengthen up and side bend. One more time each side. Inhale up, switch, side bend. That's really good on all those muscles that we're recruiting today as well. One more time, other side. Good. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale to your halfway lift, and then we're going to step back to down dog. And drop our knees back down to the ground. So feel free to pad your knees if you feel any tenderness in the knees. We're going to do another version of plank here. So I'm going to mirror you guys so that I'm facing you. We're going to take, actually, never mind. Take your right leg back. I don't need to mirror you because I'm facing away from you. Take your right leg back like we just did. And then we're going to bring the left shin and swing it out to the side a little bit. Little kickstand. Okay, pivot it out to the left. Bring your right hand onto your hip. So we're coming into a side plank pose here. Push through your hand on the ground like you want to push it away. And then spiral it a little bit toward the pinky finger so we get that tricep muscle to engage. The outer arm is a boundary. Just be mindful you don't twist your elbow, okay? Tone your belly by lifting those hip points up and lengthening your tailbone. So when I do that, I start to feel tone in my glute and my outer hip on that top leg. Now, if you want to go farther, we're going to lift that top leg off the ground. If that's too much, just keep it down. Lift it as high as you can until you feel that outer hip engage. Keep the foot flexed and maybe the opposite arm is going to reach up. Again, lift your hip points, lengthen your tailbone. One more breath. Nice work, guys. And then foot down, hand down, back to center, child's pose. Good work. So that's a side plank. We will be doing a full-on plank very soon. Let's try the other side. So now I'm going to turn over to the other side. All right, left leg back. Pivot the right foot a bit to the right, and then bring left hand onto left hip. We're going to make sure that the supporting hand is under the shoulder. Press down into that palm, and then spiral it open a little bit. You want to feel like the collarbone opens up on that bottom arm. Then if you want, top leg floats up. Flex the foot. Lift the hip points, lengthen the tailbone. And then if you want, opposite arm could reach up. It's helpful here if you try to touch the ceiling with that top arm, and that'll get you lighter through that bottom wrist. Lift the top leg higher. Good. Foot down, hand down, child's pose. From here, let's slide forward onto our belly. We're going to prop up into Sphinx posture. Line up your elbows with your shoulders, wrists with your elbows, and then press down in your palms, lift up through your chest. Isometrically pull your palms towards your hips. Pull from deep in your groin forward, contract your upper back muscles. Crown of the head long, hold another breath. We're going to add a cat-cow movement onto this. So as we inhale, we're going to pull with the hands, pull the belly forward. As we exhale, push with your arms, round your spine, lift your hips a bit, and look down towards your navel. And repeat. Inhale, pull forward, contract your back. Exhale, push your palms forward, round your spine. 2 more cycles. One more time. Good, back to your Sphinx posture. Slowly rest down. Take a little break. We're going to add on to that. Okay, so now we're going to make it a little bit more of a lower core exercise. Come back to your forearms. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, inhale, pull back. Exhale, push forward. Peel your navel off the ground. Pull your upper thighs off the ground. You're just on your knees. Push through your palms and tuck your tailbone under. And then release. Hips down. Pull with your hands. Pull your heart forward. Just 2 more like that. Start to push forward with your palms, peeling off the ground a little bit at a time so you're on more the fleshy part of your knee, not the bony part. Tuck your tailbone under and then release. Very strengthening for those lower abdominals. Do what you can 1 more time. So we inhale, pull forward, exhale, round. But this time we're peeling off the ground higher than we were in that first exercise. Tuck your tailbone and release. Rest down. Now, upper body strength is never easy, but important to balance us out. 1 more breath. Okay, we're gonna add on again. You can always just stick with what we just did. Come back up. And we're gonna this time clasp your hands, tuck your pinky in, and press through your forearms. Okay, you can stay right here, or we're gonna come on our knees. So it's like that dolphin plank, but knees down. Press through your arms, get those shoulder muscles to engage. And now, if you are looking forward, lower your chin. Press through the crown of your head like when we had the block on it. And dip your tailbone a little down, lift your hip points up. 1 more breath. And release. Rest down. We're going to do that 1 more time, guys. Those of you who are feeling it today could try to pick those knees off the ground in the next round. If you're already struggling, this is a lot, you're going to just stick with what we just did, or you can just stick with Sphinx posture. So there are layers of progression here that you have to listen to your own body, okay? Let's try again. Clasp your hands. Press down into those arm bones. Tuck your toes. Come onto your knees. Pause there, or you can stay down. Press into your arm bones. Lift your hip points, pull the tailbone down. And now, option to lift those knees up, come into your dolphin plank. We're pushing through the arms, we're lifting the hip points, reaching your head forward and your heels back. Good, release. You made it. Rest down. Take a little break, wiggle out your hips. And then just for the back of the core, reach your arms back, palms down. Let's do a few Shalabhasana. Lift your shoulders, lift your head, maybe lift your legs, strengthen your back body. And then release, turn your head to one side. Couple more. Inhale, center. If you want to lift your palms, you can, or keep them on the ground, but do lift your shoulder heads. Release, turn your head the other way. 1 more. Good, and then stack your hands under your forehead. Take a little break. Let's try 2 or 3 more breaths there. Now we're going to progress to our full plank. So that little series strengthened the core, but also gave us a break off the wrists for a bit. Let's come back into our tabletop position. Okay, pause here. Press down through your palms. Claw with your finger pads. Externally rotate a little bit. So your elbow creases turn a little forward. Push down again. Protract your shoulder blades. Lift your low belly muscles. And now let's step back 1 leg. Pause there. Keep pushing the palms and try to pull your arms apart isometrically. Tuck your chin, lengthen the crown of your head. And now if you want, both legs up, full plank. Push, especially through thumb and index finger side. Push the ground away. Hold another breath. And then release. Lower your knees, Lower all the way down to the ground. Inhale, Cobra Pose. Exhale, release. 2 more Cobras on your own. After that second Cobra, go ahead and rest down again. Let's try our plank one more time. Give yourself a little break. You can always keep your knees on the ground if this is too much. Remember, you can roll your mat over to cushion the heel of your hands. Back to tabletop position. Okay. Finding all those actions, push down, protract your shoulders. You should not feel a dip between your shoulder blades. You should be pushing the ground away. Little external rotation. And then step one leg back. And if you like, the other leg, or keep both knees down. Now try not to have your hips hiked up like down dog. We're in a straight line in a plank. We're lifting those hip points, lengthening the tail. Crown of the head and heels reach away from each other. No dip in your lower back. Good, knees down, lower down. 3 Cobras. Inhale, lift back. Exhale down, 2 more rounds. After this, we get to stretch it all out. Nice work, everybody. Good, and then we're gonna press to tabletop pose. And take one hand, turn it under, and place the top of your hand on the ground. So we just get a stretch in the opposite direction here. Gently press into the ground if it feels okay. And then release, let's switch to the other hand. Turn your hand down the opposite way. So top of the hand is on the ground. Press gently. Good, and release. Let's come into a seated posture. Bring your hands out in front of you. Good, turn your fingers down, just like we just did, and then we're gonna turn them up. Do that a few times. One more. Good, now right palm down, left hand in front. Just give a little extra resistance there. And then go the other way. Stretch your fingers back, push through your wrist. Good, other side, fingers down, press in the front of your hand. Good, and then flex, pull your fingers back. Good, and then both hands in front again, flex, and we're gonna go side to side. Good, back to center, and then down and up. Good, and then circle. And circle the other way. Good, start shaking your hands. Shake your elbows, shake your shoulders, your whole arm gets into it. Shake, shake, shake. So releasing any compression in the wrist. Really get into it. All right, let that settle. Just a couple of neck circles, go around in one direction. A lot of times when we're holding our plank, our neck might get a little on the tense side. And then reverse, go the other way. All right, back to the center, and we're going to grab a bolster. I think everyone has one. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a block. But I think everyone has one there. Laura, I don't know if you have one at home there. If you don't, just use a block. We're going to do supported bridge with the bolster. So we'll put the bolster down, and we're going to sit on the bolster. Give everyone a moment to get that. If you're doing a block, come down on your back first, then slide it in, okay? If you're doing the bolster, you're gonna kind of scoot your tailbone forward a bit so that your tailbone's lengthened, and then come down on your back. Okay, make any adjustments that you need to, and just pause here. Tip your tailbone up a little bit, which will lengthen your lower back. And then from here, bring your right knee into your chest. Give it a good squeeze. And if it feels good, take your left leg out straight. While you're there, you're feeling like your tailbone tips up a little bit. Shoulders are down. And we're just gonna hold there for a few breaths. You want to go a little farther, straighten your right leg, interlace your hands behind the back of your thigh, and then we'll add a hamstring stretch. You might circle your foot around if you have the leg up, a few times in each direction. Okay, let's go ahead, release. And just start with the right foot flat, bring the left knee in. And then maybe the right leg goes out straight. Hold it there for a moment or two with that leg bent. And if you want to progress it, straighten the leg, hold behind the back of your thigh, and then maybe circle out that foot a few times in each direction. And then just hold it for a moment. All right, go ahead, release. We're gonna try, if it feels okay on your back, to take both legs out straight. So you might adjust where your bolster or block is. You might lengthen that tailbone a bit more. And if that feels good, maybe the arms go overhead and you're like in a full body stretch, really opening up the front of the body after all that strengthening we did. All those planks. And we're gonna hold there for about 5 more breaths. I want you guys to stay there. Couple more moments. Last 2 breaths. And then after you finish those 2 breaths, if your legs are out, rebend. And then you can either roll to your side or slide your prop out. We're going to come back down on our backs. You're going to come down with our feet flat and our knees bent and our arms out to a T. So a little bit more somatic work now to release the shoulders. I want you to take your right hand on the right side of your chest. And then we're going to slide it across your chest to the opposite shoulder. Keep going down your bicep, down your elbow. See if you can slide it to your wrist. Maybe you'll touch your palm. Maybe you'll go past the palm. And then you're going to slide it back. While you slide it, press down a bit into the flesh. And then you're going to take that arm all the way out to a T. We're going to repeat that. Take your right hand to right chest. Press down. Slide across the tissue. Keep sliding. You're doing a slight twist here. Keep going. The knees are going to drop a bit. Good. And now take that top hand. Sweep it over your head in a big circle until it comes back out to a T. Let's do that a few more rounds. Take the hand across the chest. Slide it across the fascia. See if you can go past your bottom hand and then a big circle over your head. Come back out to a T. One more time. Okay, pause when you get out to a T. We're going to do that on the other side. First round, no circle. Just bring your left hand to left chest. Slide it across. Keep going. And then slide it back straight across your chest, out to a T. Okay, next round, add the circle. Slide it across, go all the way, and then circle it over your head and out to a T. Forgot to mention, if you need a blanket under your head here, that's always fine. But the head is going to kind of roll as you go to the side. It might even lift off the ground. And then we circle. And let's do that just 2 more rounds on this side. One more cycle. All right, and then pause. Take a full body stretch. One more round of up, slip, down, slip. Reach through right arm, right leg. Left arm, left leg. Go side to side. Lengthen everything out again. Going back to the center, and let's bring those knees into the chest. Give a good hug. Rock a little bit side to side. Let's take the arms and legs up toward the ceiling for our seaweed pose today. So your wrists and arms are really loose, like noodles. And the legs, the knees are bent, ankle joints soft. And you're gonna make little circles in the air. So just circle everything around in one direction. And after all that heavy work, we're just getting really light in the body. And then circle the other direction. And now just kind of random, you might want to just circle your wrists, your feet, your arms, make little spirals. Make everything nice and loose while you're just kind of rocking a little bit in the air, like seaweed underwater. And then we'll hug it back in last time. And go ahead and find Shavasana. So you guys have a bolster there. So if you want, you can put that underneath the backs of your knees. You can support your head with something if you like. Cover up if you are cold. And I'll give you guys a few moments to settle. So as you settle down, letting all effort go, we talked about tapas last week, and how we have to show up, do the work, apply our effort, but then let go of the outcome. So now we just let everything go. Even if it was really challenging, maybe we disappointed ourselves because it was hard, but that's all part of the process of just showing up, doing the work, letting go of the outcome. Find a soft breath in your belly, release your tissues. We're going to have a little story as you continue to rest. So this is also from the Wakeful Body that I've been reading to you guys from. So the author visited a temple in Tibet, and on the walls of the temple, they came across a particular mural again and again. The mural is usually in the entryway, depicts a monkey and an elephant traveling uphill on a winding path. It seemed to be telling a story, so she asked the temple keeper what it meant. The temple keeper, also a monk clothed in deep burgundy robes, replied that the mural was depicting the developmental process of meditation. The elephant, he explained, symbolized the dullness of our mind, and the monkey symbolizes distraction. At the beginning of the path, the meditator's mind is controlled by distraction and dullness, with distraction mostly in charge. The temple keeper explains, pointing to the bottom of the mural, where the monkey was leading the elephant by a rope. But by the end of the path, the monkey has fallen by the wayside. The monk has joined them and is riding the elephant, who has turned white, symbolizing that both the dullness and the distraction are tamed. Indeed, the mural showed the monk gradually disciplining the elephant and the monkey with his stick and lasso. In the final scene, at the very top, the path becomes a rainbow upon which a white elephant strolls toward the heavens, with the monk sitting in meditation on the elephant's back. The image is a compelling depiction of the role of mindfulness on the path to tranquility. When we first start to meditate, the mind is all over the place, like a wild monkey bouncing from one thought or idea to the other. Or sometimes the mind is sleepy and lethargic like the slow elephant. It lacks sharpness needed to pay attention in a sustained way. Neither of these states is conducive to concentration, clarity, or ease. To tame our distracted, scattered attention, we turn it toward an object like the breath. At first, the mind will not stay for very long. It bounces, distracted by thoughts. or the mind sinks into torpor and forgets entirely what it was doing. But then we coax the mind back again to the breath, happening over and over again. The faculty we use to bring the mind back is mindfulness, the monk with the stick. Every time the monk with the stick shows up, the muscle of attention is strengthened a bit. And we learn to remember to stay on task. As attention stays on its object longer and longer, the mind's restlessness begins to calm down, resulting in a state of tranquility. Take a couple more moments here. We are going to sit for a brief seated meditation and see if we can tame the monkey, tame the elephant, keep our minds sharp, keep our minds focused. So take your time, deepen your breath, move a little bit at a time in slow motion. We mastered our bodies in this practice with our plank master practice. Now we master the mind. So take your time, move a little bit, eventually come to your side for a brief pause. And after you've had a pause, go ahead and come up, find a cushion to sit on. You can sit against a wall if that's helpful to you. Widen out your sit bones with your hands. And then let the sit bones drop down, getting heavier through your lower body. Remember the block, try to press up, lengthening, letting the top of the body get light. And then either closing your eyes, find a soft focal point. And start to observe. Is the monkey in charge? Is the mind jumping around? Is the elephant in charge? Does the mind feel dull and heavy? See if you can now start to tame them by focusing on your breath. The flow of the breath in and out through your nose. And one of the ways we tame the mind is by dropping into the body. So the body itself is always present, not distracted the way our mind is. So let your mind drop out of your head, down into your body. Maybe feeling the rise and fall of your belly, expansion and contraction of your rib cage. Without using words, just be aware of sensation. Be aware of the soft flow of the breath. Be the monk on the elephant, meditating, having tamed the dullness of the mind and the distraction of the mind. All right, let's go ahead now, bringing it to a close. We'll bring our hands together in front of the heart space. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, bow your head towards your heart. Namaste. All right, great work, everyone. Feel free to unmute.